Good morning and welcome, friends, to Here I Stand, part of our candidate interview series. We're happy to have with us Mr. Scott Greene. He's a working man, not a politician. He's doing this interview from his rig. I think this is the first that we've had, James. James has had a little experience in the trucking business. I haven't. It's an honor to speak with someone that's on the job, though he is not driving as we speak here. We're doing this safely. James is in his office. I'm in my office, so no accidents during this interview is our plan. So Scott is running for the Illinois House. Let me just show the map there. The 86th district. Is that correct, Scott?
Yes, sir.
And let me show our listeners the 86th district. Scott, why don't you describe, obviously Joliet would be the biggest city in this district, but describe this district for us.
Well, I think there's a pretty good mix of rural and urban and suburban. Joliet, like you say, is probably the largest, or is the largest city in the district. Mm-hmm. There. That's obviously the urban area. And then you have Elwood and Shanahan, and it even goes down into Lorenzo. There's Shorewood and part of I think even part of Crest Hill and Manuka. So those areas, some of them would consider it suburban. I kind of consider it rural. There's a lot of cornfields still around those areas.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Scott, for anybody north of Route 80, maybe they've heard of Joliet. Exactly. That is really about it.
Yeah.
Now I know Shanahan from Pastor Randy Bland, Families of Faith. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know about Shanahan. Joliet is about as far south as my knowledge goes. On the right there, I'm showing the current holder of this seat, Lawrence Walsh Jr. Without getting into obviously just negativity, but tell me why you're running against Lawrence Walsh, Scott.
Well, as I've said many times, 2020 was the year that just crossed the line for me. And I realized that we did not have representation. And Larry Walsh just has gone along with the do-nothing Democrat agenda that is destroying the state. And I believe that starting in 2020, they began to just accelerate this plan and this agenda, and it's absurd what's taking place. And I'm thinking, I'm talking to people, yes, all over the country because I drive a truck, but even in my own communities, and they're saying, what in the world is going on? People want to live in safe neighborhoods. They want to be able to afford a family trip, with fuel, gas prices that they can afford. They closed down our churches, all these things. It just seems so un-American. Mm-hmm. And as a working man, as a family man, as a strong Christian, frankly, I've had enough. And this political correctness that takes place that does nothing for us, but seems to put us in a deeper hole. I'm done with it. I'm over it. And I believe we need true representation in Springfield for the people of the 86th and for Illinois, for that matter.
Okay. I see that Mr. Walsh has held this seat now for, was he elected or appointed? I see appointed April 1st, 2012.
That's correct.
He was last elected, though, November 3rd, 2020.
Yes.
So
yes.
he has been in this office now for actually 10 years, 10 years and now a few days. So
right.
He was appointed. Was there an open seat and he was appointed? Is that what happened there his first time around?
His dad actually held the seat before him.
Got it. Okay, father
That's
son,
the
Yeah,
so
family
Lawrence
there.
Walsh Senior.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I was not, I'm not familiar with Lawrence Walsh, but my guess is he goes along with the typical agenda of the Democrats. Is that, would that be the case?
No, it's absolutely correct.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. I've heard about Senior. Some people talk a little more highly of him than they did of Junior.
Okay.
But Senior was rubbing elbows with Obama and all those other things. So, you know, Illinois politics, there's been corruption, especially with the Democrats for decades.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't see that, Senior would be uh, any different than Walshy
Okay.
Jr.
So Walsh wins this district 2 years ago. Do you think things have changed now? A little more like you're saying, people are maybe getting mad. Business as usual is not good enough. In fact, it's not business as usual. It's a descent more into chaos. What describe why you think you can win this race?
Well, out of the hundreds of signatures that I've collected, I ran into Republicans and Democrats and independents, people of all shapes and sizes and colors, different backgrounds, and every person. And there may be four or five people that still have their head in the sand, but nearly every person I have talked to realize that their freedoms are on the line. And I had some old school Democrats that, I listened to them. They would cuss Republicans and Trump all the time. I sit at the restaurant, I hear them talking, and I went over to them and I talked to them, and actually they signed my petition. And they said, well, what's going on? And I just gave them my message. I said, well, faith, family, and freedom are on the line. And you should have,
Yeah.
every single one of those guys nodded their heads. Now, they recognize that those things are on the line. Are they still going to vote Democrat? I don't know. But
Hmm.
they still recognize that change needs to happen.
Hmm.
And it was kind of refreshing to not be in an echo chamber there, because they asked me about vaccines, the vaccinations, what I thought of that. And I believe that it's a choice that we, each and every one of us, should make. There should be no mandates on that.
Hmm.
And I'll even, I'm not afraid to say it. I don't know why people think it's such a stigma, but I didn't get the vaccine. But these guys did. And they strongly disagreed with me because of their age bracket and the things that they learn on the old TV screen.
Hmm.
Anyways, but I believe that people have had enough, and it can't be politics as usual. I really feel like we have to do something different than what the old Republican Party has always done in Illinois, and it hasn't worked. And I see it's hard for people to get out of that. It's almost a vacuum to
Hmm.
get out of that vacuum, to do something different, to really actually win a race. People want to hear the truth. They want to hear how it is. They want to hear plain talk. And if that's what they want, I'm the guy, because I'm pretty plain spoken.
James, you got any questions for Scott there?
Um, I'm sorry, I had to mute Scott. I'm just, I am flabbergasted. In your opinion, how did the Republican Party in Illinois even get to this point?
Hmm.
When did it, when and how did the Republicans just roll over to the point where we are now, that they're used to, they're comfortable being second fiddle to the Democrats? Do you know the history of that? I mean, how did it get
Yeah,
to this point?
from my experience, I'm in the shallow end of the pool, is what I say. Okay, but in just living life, I believe that they have compromised and compromised and compromised their own principles, and not holding a line, and not saying, no, we're not going this direction. This is what the people want. I'm seeing that money has a very huge role in decision making, especially even candidates now. I'm watching them. Look, I've been told, people recommended to me, hey, go talk to so and so and get some cash from him because he's handing it out right now. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not taking money from a billionaire if they're going to tell me how to talk. And I'm watching these new candidates that would probably actually be decent candidates are going and taking money from these billionaires, and then they have to endorse a knucklehead in order to keep the cash. This is how it's happening. I know that maybe seemed just so simple, but I believe over the years this is how it's happening. And I just hope, which I believe is true though, but I know that people are so sick of what's going on, and this politics as usual in Illinois is no longer an excuse. And I hope that explains it. I really firmly believe that's what it is. It's compromising our principles, just the political correctness, and then the cash. The money is a huge influence in it. And it's very disappointing.
Scott, is there anybody in the state who hasn't been bought out that you think would be a good rallying point? I mean, are all the Republicans bought out, or there's some that hasn't been the neither bill?
I'm sure there are a few.
Do you know of any?
Let's say
I'm not saying not any. I'm saying, do you know of any?
Do I know of any that are not sold out?
Yeah.
I know of one person. I know of one person. I sure firmly would like to. Well, I know I'm not sold out. I'll say that. I can speak for myself. But as far as if we want to talk about people running for governor, I firmly believe that Darren Bailey is not sold out. I believe that he's running on principle, running on his faith, and running strong. And if I sensed in any way, shape, or form that he was paid for or sold out, I'm pulling the plug. I'm done with that.
Yeah, James, to answer your question, I think the last time the Republicans had control of the legislative body in Illinois has been probably 26 years. The Democrats have been far more successful in their ground game in Illinois.
Yep.
I think they've been
26 years. So you said in '96 the Republicans held the.
You know what? There was a brief window. I think it was 2 years that in fact Tom Morrison was the one who reminded me. The Republicans won control, and they actually changed some of the rules with the hope, well, we got to get things done quickly. Then Mike Madigan takes over the next election cycle, and guess what? Those rules fit very nicely with his agenda. The Republicans, they played some, you might say, some games, and then Mike Madigan's like, hey, thank you very much. I am now gonna run the table. And it's well, we've seen what's happened. In my opinion, Illinois has changed. We're farther away from the truth. Education has brainwashed people, and then the Republicans have not. What is our strategy? The Democrats have a strategy. Republicans, on the other hand, we don't really have anything to unify us other than we're not Democrats. That's about the only.
And I'm not sure about that.
Well, no,
and I'm not sure about that.
Exactly. I know. Only they have an R instead of an L. Maybe in some cases. So, Scott, for your district, where do you? Obviously, Joliet's going to be a big part of that district, right, Scott?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you get Joliet voters to vote for Scott Greene?
You know, a big thing is I really think the people that I've talked to in Joliet, it's getting my message across to them. You know, it's just plain and simple now that the people, constituents in the 86th, they realize that their faith, family, and their freedom are on the line. And if I can earn their trust through conversation or others helping me get my message out, that's how we do it. And it doesn't matter. I have friends that go to my church that have voted Democrat. They live in Joliet. They have voted Democrat their entire life. They say they are not very familiar with politics, but they've been noticing since 2020, and they're saying, what's really going on here? What's really going on here? And I told them, I said, well, first off, we need to get you registered under a different party. And they said, yeah, well, we voted this way because that's what we've always been told we have to do because of our skin color, which I think is absolutely asinine, but that's what they do it. And so a huge thing is getting a message out, showing them that, hey, I put on my boots every day to go to work, just like you all do. I have a family. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah,
I have
good.
a family just like you all do. And that's a major thing is getting my message out, showing them that I can be trusted, that I am a man of my word, and that I'll do what I say I'm going to do. I'm not in this for fame or fortune. I'm in this because I lacked representation. And so if I did, I know many other people have, and I didn't see anybody else stepping up to this. Larry Walsh Jr. has run uncontested for at least 2 election cycles that I know of, and that's uncalled for. And politics is not about the elite representing people. It's not about that. It's about people like myself that bust my butt to pay the bills, to pay them on time, to support my family, and to love people. That is the people that should be in politics, truly representing the people.
Okay, I like to hear that. Scott, are you familiar with the truck driver in New Jersey who upset the Democratic Speaker of the Senate or President of the Senate?
Yeah.
Do you know Tom Morrison, Mr. Representative Tom Morrison?
I sure don't. I sure don't.
He serves in the Illinois House. This will be his last year. He's my stepbrother. He went door to door and knocked on thousands of doors. Now, you face a little greater challenge. You got a huge area.
Right.
So I guess, how do you reach such a massive area? That truck driver in New Jersey, I think it was a much more urban area. He's just going house to house. How do you just talk a little more about how do you reach the area, especially given the cost of, radio ads or TV ads or whatever? What's your strategy there?
All right. So I really think that knocking on doors is a great way to do it. I think having that personal touch is a great way to do it. But I'm also seeing that we're going to have to utilize means like this. The digital age is real. Right. And many people have the phones in their hands constantly. Their phones are in their hands. And to get our message across this way, it multiplies the efforts. And I think people now have the ability to see when they're listening to interviews like this. Can I trust somebody? Are they being fake? Are they being real? I think there's been plenty of that experience. Also, setting up little meet and greets and things like that. Now, I'm really cautious about it, and I am kind of critical on it too, to an extent, because I've been to several meet and greets or Republican Party events, and it within Will County and such, and I've been somewhat critical of it because I say it seems like the same 30 or 50 people show up, and so I question, what good is that really going to do if I show up to 5 events and the same 50 people show up? And so we have to really be smarter about our efforts and be clever about the ways that we go about doing things and to getting our message out. I really believe that things have to be done differently than the old way. And I'm very new at this, so I can't tell you exactly what needs to be done, but I have some ideas, and I just know that it has to be different than the way it has always been.
Okay, James, I'll give you the next round here.
Yeah, you know what? I apologize. We had some technical difficulties at the beginning, kind of threw me off my game. But IFA is not endorsed in this primary yet. So again, this is a chance to get your message out, Scott, but we have not endorsed yet. So if someone wants to learn more about you, where can they find it? Well, give us your website.
Okay, I have a website. It's Scott Greene for il.com. Scott Greene, spelling my last name, Greene for FORIL.com. Or you can go to my Facebook page, is Scott Greene for Illinois. And I try to post on there every day, make some kind of comment about what I'm for or what I'm against. And then I'm also on Getter. I think it's at Scott Greene 22.
Okay.
So you will face two other people, correct, for the Republican primary in 2 months?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, very good. And are there any debates? Are there any candidate forums where all three are speaking to an audience? Anything like that?
Nothing set up yet. I'll tell you, it was kind of an interesting process. I did a video on this a while back, and I've talked about this before too, but I got a phone call on January 2nd from organizations that work with the establishment in Springfield, and they actually asked me to step back and not run. And I told them it's not happening because one of the people that's in the primary, I'm familiar with her voting record. And I wanted to make sure that I had some clarity first, but I realized that she hadn't been voting as a Republican in the past, and I thought, there's a major problem right there. If she's voting for a Democrat, then why in the world would I allow them to step in a place of representation for me? Now, I do realize that many people from the Democrat Party have crossed over to the light, to the Republicans, but I still feel like if you voted Democrat for so many years, once you ride the Republican train a little bit before you think you can represent a whole bunch of people that want freedom. And so I told them, no, absolutely not. I'm not stepping back. I'm not stepping aside. I'm going to do this. For one, because I said I was going to do it, and for two, I know that I can be a representative for the people. The second guy, he is a security guard, I believe, in Joliet. And honestly, I'm not concerned about either opponent in the primary. I know that I have the strongest message, and I'm going to stick with that. It's just a matter of getting my message out to people. Now, you talked about the New Jersey truck driver. His name is Ed Durr, and Ed Durr won on very little money. And I've had many people say, "Oh, you have to have so much money to do this. You need to throw a guy threw millions of dollars when he ran against." I said, it's not about the money this time. It's not about the money. People are so fed up with the way it is. It's not about the money. Yes, you have to have cash to get out the mailers and stuff, which people use for, to start fires and stuff in their fireplace. But, let's be realistic. There are many other ways I can get the message out, and I don't have to spend millions of dollars to do it. And I can still be a true representative for the people.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There's no doubt hard work is a key to that. Do you have anybody, Scott, helping guide you, coach you on any of this stuff?
Unfortunately, or maybe I should say fortunately, no, I don't.
Okay.
Clearly, I don't. And now here's the thing about it is I have some people unofficially, advising, but it's not anybody that's pulling strings for me, say do this, do that, or the other. I want to keep my circle tight on purpose because on the shallow end of the pool that I am seeing stuff that is it's scary sometimes. You think there's a saying, that you may trust somebody that I don't trust. And my gosh, is that ever true? Even in a tight circle, like in the Republican Party, and we'll look, the less people that I can have throwing advice or maybe their motives at me, honestly, the better off I am.
Mm-hmm.
I do like solid advice. Wise counsel is
Mm-hmm.
good,
Mm-hmm.
but my gosh, you got to be careful who you open the door to.
No, you're. I think you're absolutely right there. Well, James, I'll let you have the final word there.
Again, you know what? Someone came in mid interview, and Trish on Facebook asked, "What is Scott Greene running for, and who are the other GOP members running?" You can choose to answer the second one if you want, but Scott, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I'm running for state representative in the 86th district. State representative in the 86th district, and yeah, I'll say their names. It's Denora Ruiz and James Lanham.
Mm-hmm.
They are also running for the state representative 86th district.
And out of the three of you all, whoever emerges from that primary will take on an incumbent Democrat who's been in office for how many years now?
10 years now.
10 years. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
And look him up on IllinoisSunshine.org. You'll see that it's like the unions pay a monthly subscription to him. He's contributed over $100,000 to Michael Madigan in 2019. He received money from Michael Madigan. So there is definitely a connection to corruption there, and it needs to be dealt with.
Mm.
Well, Scott, we're thankful that you took some time out of your busy
Yes,
schedule
thank you.
to speak with us. We do appreciate that, and we'll share the information about your website and other things as we get an opportunity here, Scott. So thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you, Scott.
Hey, thank you for your time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.